welcome back to another episode of Emotions and Potions.
A love/hate letter to with your host.
I'm Ashton.
And I'm Alex.
And welcome back to another episode.
Woo!
Another ACOWAR episode.
We're just keeping it going.
Yeah, we figured we started. We got to finish, right?
Let's not eject mid-ride.
Yeah, no. We wouldn't do that to you.
Unless we absolutely hated it.
Yeah, unless it was terrible, but it's proven that it's not. So we are on book 3.
A Court of Wings and Ruin, also known as ACOWAR.
By Sarah J. Maas.
Shall we get into these content and trigger warnings?
Let's do it.
All right, we got blood, death, emotionally abusive relationship, and rape. Past and reference, sexual assault, sex scenes, violence, and war.
Dope. All great things. Love to hear it.
We love to hear about the triggers.
We are here for the trigger warnings. All right, yeah, I guess that about does sum it up. Nothing too crazy.
No.
Nothing too crazy.
I mean, it's the war book.
Yeah, it's literally called ACOWAR, so be ready for some violence.
All right, what's that back of the book say for us, Ash?
All right, here is the synopsis. Feyre has returned to the Spring Court, determined to gather information on Tamlin's maneuverings and the invading king threatening to bring Prythian to its knees. But to do so, she must play a deadly game of deceit, and one slip may spell doom, not only for Feyre, but for her world as well. As war bears down upon them all, Feyre must decide who to trust amongst the dazzling and lethal High Lords and hunt for allies in unexpected places. In this thrilling third book in the #1 New York Times and USA Today bestselling series from Sarah J. Maas, the earth will be painted red as mighty armies grapple for power over the one thing that could destroy them all.
Dun dun dun.
Very short, brief synopsis for the fact that this book was 700 pages.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not mad at it. Like, I think that sums up the gist of it.
Yeah, I think we...
Very vaguely.
Yeah, it was like short, sweet, and to the point.
Yeah.
Basically.
But that was the synopsis. And moving right on to our potion of the episode. Alex, what have you concocted this week?
All right, so this murky drink is Faebane.
Faebane, okay. And what is in Faebane?
We got some matcha, we got some lemonade, and some apple juice. And then if you'd like to make it spicy, you can add some Midori and some white rum.
All right.
Cheers.
Clink. Ooh, yummy. That's good. That's like a good mix of both matcha and lemonade.
Mm-hmm.
Like you taste both of them pretty evenly.
And then just a little bit of apple juice
and
in there, too.
And a little bit of apple juice to sweeten. Yeah, I like that. Even though it does look like swamp water, it does not taste like swamp water.
It's supposed to be poison from the book, so...
It does look like poison, so...
It doesn't taste like that, though.
No, it tastes very good. I would drink this poison.
You are.
Refreshing. Okay, so for this episode, we're kind of going to follow what we've been doing for this series is part 1, part 2, part 3. We'll break down plot for each part, and in between, or after each part, we will talk about our loves and hates, and then move on to the next section.
So let's get into this.
So let's start breaking down this whirlwind of a freaking book. All right, so part 1. Rhysand flashback to the war before the wall was built, searching for Cassian and Ezreal on the battlefield among the dead Illyrians. Thankfully, he doesn't find them because they lived, and they're part of the book, so that's good. Feyre is back in the Spring Court with a plan to tear it down from the inside. She acts like Rhysand had mind control over her, and since Hybern broke the bond, it released her from his control. Tamlin believes the lies Feyre is selling him, but Lucien is very skeptical, though he plays along since Feyre's sister Elaine is his mate, and he wants to be able to see her again. Elaine and Nesta are currently with Rhys and the gang back at the Night Court. Feyre does get Tamlin to agree to include her in all the meetings and goings-on, much to Ianthe's dismay. Feyre, knowing more of Ianthe's true nature, picks up on her plotting and scheming and starts to undermine her when she can. Hybern comes to the Spring Court with Jurian and 2 commanders, twins Princess Brana and Prince Dagden. Who comes up with these names? I'm so...
Sarah.
Oh my God. Sorry if I just totally butchered that. The twins are Demonte, like Feyre and Rhys. So Feyre makes sure to keep her mental shields up around them pretty much at all times. Feyre and Lucien accompany the evil twins and Jurian on their mission to scout the wall for vulnerabilities in it. This closeness that Feyre develops with Lucien while she's back at the Spring Court makes Tamlin increasingly jealous and distrustful towards Lucien. Also, while on these scouting missions, Jurian talks with Feyre and informs her that he knew Rhys during the war and how he was an honorable Fae, and he isn't buying Feyre's sob story. These interactions have Feyre questioning Jurian's motives. There may be more to his story, but he's definitely crazy. On one of the scouting missions, the twins kill 3 humans who crossed the wall after Feyre forbade them from doing so. She and Lucien get their revenge by sending the bog after the twins. Tamlin is not happy about their antics, but doesn't care that the twins undermined Feyre. Feyre checks in with Rhysand periodically through their still intact mating bond to give updates on the info that she finds out from the Spring Court and to check in on her sisters and the inner circle. However, the connection to the bond dims the longer she is in the Spring Court. Ianthe holds a ceremony to ultimately prove her power and standing. Feyre secretly uses her light powers to make it seem like she is the one who the cauldron blessed, not Ianthe. This makes Ianthe very upset to where she sets up a Naga attack on the Spring Court and alerts everyone to the attack so that she can play hero, and then blames one of Tamlin's sentries for the attack being able to happen. Feyre takes the side of the sentry who allows a mock mini-trial to prove his innocence. This puts Tamlin in a position of showing the Spring Court of being weak to Hybern, so he takes Ianthe's side over that of his sentry and Feyre, and then punishes the innocent sentry. The loyalty of Tamlin's people and sentries are starting to shift as part of the undermining abilities of Feyre. On the last scouting mission, Tamlin and Ianthe join. Feyre has sown enough discord in the Spring Court and knows Alice, her ally, will be getting out, so it is time for her to return home to the Night Court. While she is leaving, she encounters Ianthe sexually assaulting and blackmailing Lucien. Feyre steps in and uses her Demonte powers to have Ianthe crush her hand, swear to never touch another being without consent, and plants a story of her to tell about why Feyre had to flee. The twins then appear, and it turns out they have been poisoning Feyre and Lucien slowly with Faebane for quite some time, and their magic will soon be disabled. And they attack Feyre and Lucien, who ultimately kill the twins while Feyre kills the twins. And Lucien leaves with Feyre as he realizes how terrible Tamlin has become, and he wants to see his mate Elaine one more time. Feyre and Lucien take route through the Autumn Court, having to avoid the Summer Court due to the Blood Ruby incident that Feyre is still dealing with. They run into Lucien's brothers, including Eris, Mor's former betrothed. They must fight to escape them with their dwindling magic. They are able to outrun the Autumn Boys for a bit until they make it to the Winter Court territory when the brothers catch up with them once again. Another battle ensues. Thankfully, enough power has been restored to Feyre that the bond has been reactivated, and Rhys was able to send Cassian and Azriel to rescue Feyre and Lucien. Feyre reveals to the Autumn Court that she is the High Lady of the Night Court, and they done fucked up. And that ends part 1. So a lot of scheming, a lot of undermining, a lot of Feyre playing double agent.
Lots of spying.
Having to pretend that she's like in love with Tamlin and hates Rhys.
And we know that's not true.
So Alex, what were some of your loves of part 1?
I loved Bad Bitch Feyre and her scheming and like kind of being one step ahead of Ianthe and her getting the loyalties to actually switch.
Yes, I thought Feyre really brought out bad bitch energy in this first. I mean, she dismantles the Spring Court from within, and Tamlin is none the wiser.
No.
Until she's gone.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh my God.
What the fuck just happened?
Yeah. I loved that Feyre ultimately killed the twins, Hybern's niece and nephew, because they sucked.
Yeah.
Obviously, like, they're bad guys, but, like, oh, they were terrible.
I kind of wish they were around a little bit longer because they were good villains.
They were good villains. They did have, like, I got a little, like, incesty vibes from them.
Yeah.
Very Game of Thrones.
It was creepy.
It was. But, like, they're having that ability to enter people's minds, kind of like Feyre and Rhys can, I thought, like, added a really good, like, thing for the villain to be able to do. Mm-hmm. But they had it coming, man.
They did have it coming. Just they really could have fucked some shit up if they stuck around.
They could have. But, you know, in the grand scheme of things, as we will continue to go through this book, the inner circle and, like, the good guys face so many challenges that I'm kind of glad that Feyre was able to at least...
Yeah, there is kind of enough happening.
To, like, get this one out of the way.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't need them in the mix any longer than they
would
were.
have sown so much discord.
Yes.
I do wish Feyre would have told Alice the truth about her plans. Because there was a moment where Alice does, like, confront Feyre about, like, hey, I kind of am picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, she could have used Alice. Because Alice could have gotten the servants on Team Feyre. And, like, she could have gotten those loyalties to shift sooner.
Yeah.
With having, like, kind of someone else on her team.
But I also understand her being hesitant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because this is
it's a big risk.
It's a big risk.
But it's like Alice has kind of always been on Feyre's side.
Yeah.
And then also, if, you know, she got the loyalties to switch sooner, she wouldn't have taken in as much Faebane as she did.
Right. That's true as well. I loved that Tamlin instantly just, like, believed Feyre and all of her shit, while Lucien was kind of like, I don't know about you. Like, I don't know about all this nonsense.
Especially, like, the mating bond, like, getting severed. Because, you know, Lucien has his own, and he's like,
Yeah, and I also love kind of, like, with Lucien and her undermining his and Tamlin's relationship. Like, on those scouting trips, they would, like, sleep in the same tent together. And, like, she would purposefully, like, be caught by someone, not doing anything, but just enough because Tamlin is so possessive and jealous.
Enough of a compromising scenario.
Where, like, she's playing it just right, where, like, Tamlin really can't prove anything, but he's going to start... She's causing a rift between Tamlin and his number two.
Yep.
And it was so beautifully done. And I loved Tamlin's kind of downfall because honestly, he kind of deserves it. Like,
he does.
He literally teamed up with the ultimate baddie to get a girl back who didn't want him. Who didn't want to be brought back. And then he got her sisters changed to Fae.
I mean, that was Ianthe's fault. He didn't know about that.
But he made it possible because of this whole deal. Like, all of this kind of stems back to him at the base of it, in my opinion.
I love and hated that Ianthe lived at this part. I get it. Feyre needed a cover story. So, like, yeah, let's use Ianthe for the cover story.
Because she had just killed the twins too, right?
Yeah, because that wasn't part of the plan. But, you know, fuck Ianthe, and she needs to die.
Yeah, I really hate Ianthe. And especially now, realizing
just how rotted she is.
That she is kind of not a good person. It shows a lot more. But I love how Feyre also undermines her so well. Some of it worked out. Some of it, Ianthe still kind of came out on top.
Yeah.
Like with the Naga attack. But like the
Feyre
light
knew she was going to do that.
Right. But like the light trick during the ceremony. Oh, I was like, yeah, bitch.
That was good.
But yeah, I hate Ianthe.
I hated the painter Feyre thought in this part. How she had witnessed something and she's like, oh, this scene, this is what I'm going to call it. I was like, please, just stop. Just stop.
Yeah.
That happened a lot.
Yes.
And I didn't like it.
That is something that Feyre does have like a lot of like internal thoughts about. So I also, something that I was picking up on was like Jurian. By this point in the book, I wasn't totally convinced that he was a bad guy. Like I didn't know. I had no idea where his plot was going to take him. Mm-hmm. But some of the stuff that like the conversations that he had with Feyre and some of the things that he kind of like did on the DL, I was like, I think this mofo has alternate motives as well. And I was like trying to debate, like, do I think Jurian is bad? Because he kind of has seemed like a bad guy through the whole series. Mm-hmm. But then I'm like, now that he's actually human again, I don't know.
And we still don't know.
And we don't.
Right now.
No. But I was starting to like, I don't know.
You're starting to pick it up.
I said to you, I don't know about this Jurian character.
You did.
I don't know. Also, I'm not a huge fan of Lucien being mated with Elaine.
I mean, clearly I'm not either since I hate Elaine.
Yeah, I know. You really don't like Elaine at all. I don't dislike Lucien, but like he's not my favorite Fae male.
He deserves better.
I think that they both deserve different people. Okay? They both deserve different outcomes.
If I wind up liking Elaine by the time we read A Court of Silver Flame, I'm going to have to like eat my hat or something.
I know.
I'm going to have to do like so much apologizing.
I understand why you don't like Elaine, but like I don't understand why you don't like her so much. Like
she just seems so unnecessary of a character.
Fair enough.
And lastly, I hated how Feyre didn't realize that something was up with the poison sooner. Because this was another reread. And rereading it, I was like, oh my goodness, it's so...
Well, didn't she always kind of mention like internally that she felt like her power was draining quicker? Yeah. She felt weaker.
And then like how the connection to Reese was like getting dimmer and stuff. It's like, ma'am, the signs were all there that something was up.
And then also like, I think it was just maybe her being naive and a little stupid. But like the twins are hundreds, if not thousands years old. Mm-hmm. Like, you know that they're going to be scheming just as much as your 21-year-old ass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, why wasn't she thinking them as more of a like threat?
Yeah, she was kind of disregarding them.
Yeah.
Like, she figured out they were Damonte and like was just trying to keep her shield up. But then she really kind of was just like...
She fucked with them like briefly to kind of show them that like she's not going to be easily like fucked with. But then she kind of just let them
be.
And I'm like, what are you doing? Because they would be at my top watch list.
Yeah. Maybe she just got so like caught off guard with the incest vibes. And she was like, you know what? I'm going to
stay in my lane.
Leave that alone.
Yes. All right, moving on to part 2. Feyre and Rhysand are reunited in Valeris. She visits her sisters who have been staying at the House of Wind. Nesta is dealing with becoming Fae with anger, while Elaine is very depressed and a shell of herself. The inner circle, after reuniting and sharing all the information, they have decided the best course of action is to fix the holes in the wall, and to do that, they will need Feyre and her sister's help. Feyre combat trains with Cassian, and Azriel teaches her to fly. Feyre gets the bright idea that they will need to ally with monsters to help them win the war with Hybern. Their first recruit is the Bone Carver, who we met in book 2, who agrees to assist in exchange for the Ouroboros mirror. That's a funny word. Nesta agrees to help fix the wall and asks them to leave Elaine out of it. She begins to train with Amren. The inner circle go to the Court of Nightmares to ask aid from Kier, and Rhys reveals that he has made an alliance with Eris, and also in exchange for Kier's help, he gives him access to Valeris, which leaves Mor feeling very betrayed. Feyre asks Kier for the mirror, which he grants because one must look into it, but everyone who has gone mad. Elaine is slipping further into depression. Healers cannot help because it is not a physical but mental healing, and with her being Cauldron Maid, there is nothing the Fae healer can do. Lucien attempts using the mating bond to break through to Elaine. Hybern ravens that Elaine's random ramblings warned about attack Nesta and Feyre in the library. They are wanting to kidnap Nesta as she took something extra from the cauldron, which has depleted some of its power, and the king wants to take it back. Feyre makes a bargain with the monster in the library that Cassian is terrified of, that it will get company in exchange for killing the ravens. They also find out that one of the queens went into the cauldron after Nesta and Elaine, and she was turned fae, but she was taken all of her youth and was dumped out as a very old fae being. So something's wrong with the cauldron, and none of the other queens have dared venture into it. So the inner circle figure out that Elaine is a seer, and she lets the group know to find the sixth mortal queen. Lucian volunteers to find her. Hybern attacks the summer court. The night court, after getting word from Amren's friend at the summer court about the attack, go to assist. Rhys goes to King Hybern's ship to confront him, but he is just an illusion. After the battle, Feyre meets with Torquin to offer aid, but he is still rather pissed about them betraying him and stealing the Book of Breathings. After the battle, Feyre returns to the Bone Carver and realizes she is going to have to get the Ouroboros mirror. Rhys realizes the form the Bone Carver takes for Feyre is their son, and he requests to see him, and Feyre shows him through their mental bond. Elaine is finally starting to show signs of improvement. The meeting of all the High Lords of the courts has been moved up and will take place at the Dawn Court. Nesta finally decides to join and accompany the Inner Circle to the meeting, and she becomes emissary to the human realm since Feyre is High Lady. All the Prythian High Lords attend the meeting, including Baron, Autumn, and Lucian's dad, and Tamlin. While Rhysand is trying to get all the courts to unite, Tamlin and Baron do their best to undermine any potential alliance, and that they should be wary of the Night Court. During the meeting, Torquin rescinds the blood rubies, as the Night Court was the only one to help them when they were attacked. The Dawn's court tinkerer, Nuan, who made Lucian's eye, has an antidote to the Faebane, which is big news for them. When Baron calls Rhys a whore, and that if the war goes Hybern's way, he would whore himself out to Hybern, Feyre lets her powers rip against Baron. He tries to call the meeting to a close, but Nesta makes a rallying argument, getting things back on track. Baron leaves, saying he will consider the alliance. Well, the cat is out of the bag about Feyre's powers, and she swears to use her gifts to bring Hybern down. One by one, the remaining courts agreed to the alliance, but the discussion must continue. Helion shows up to the Night Court's rooms to chat. So we learn that Helion and Lucian's mother had an affair, and that Helion is likely Lucian's dad. Dun dun dun. Makes sense. Kind of. Nesta dismisses Helion's flirtatious come-ons. Nesta warns that they must leave and something is wrong. After scouting the grounds and checking in with Amren and Valeris, nothing seems amiss. Feyre informs Rhys that she tried to find his sister and mother's wings while she was at the Spring Court, and that Tamlin informed her that he burned them long ago. While war planning with the allied courts, Nesta gets sick because something is wrong with the cauldron, and the world starts to rumble. The wall has come down. End of part 2.
It's a great way to end part 2, just saying.
Oh yeah, that was the perfect moment to end part 2. So I'm just going to state the obvious. Love that Rhys and Feyre are finally reconnected.
Yes.
Part 1 was great, but like all I wanted was for them to be back together. So I'm glad that part 2 started with their reuniting.
Yeah, because I remember that was something you were worried about going into this book, like how long they were going to be separated.
Yeah, I just didn't want to read a book that was like 60%. They weren't even together. But thankfully that was not the case. This one moved pretty quickly, and Feyre and Rhys get brought back together at a fairly good pace. I was not mad at it.
I did love Rhys and Feyre's banter and sexual chemistry in this part.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I love it all the time, but it was just especially good here.
Definitely. That's something that's like always very strong with them, is the bants between them.
And just always kind of like saying inappropriate shit through their bond.
Yeah. I do like that we learn that Elaine is a seer. That I'm glad that was something that came about, because she definitely was talking in riddles for a lot of part 2. And we're just like, okay, what's going on with this bitch? Like, what's going on?
Obviously, that was something I still hated. Like, I, still hated Elaine. Probably even more with her, like, woe is me zombie speak, riddle, bullshit.
Well, the reason I hated her being so depressed was because it was over the mortal husband that she lost.
Who was like such a complete dick.
Yeah, like it was not worth her tears, her anything.
No.
And like the fact, like I could understand her being depressed about turning Fae, especially against her will.
Yeah.
But it wasn't even that. It was more so that she just lost this mediocre dude who also was kind of a bigot.
Very much so.
Towards Fae. So I'm like...
And then also, like, you know, there's a war going on, bitch. Like, get what happened to you. It was not your fault. You didn't consent to it. But get your revenge.
Yeah, she does just, like, mope. She just, like, stares out of the windows all day. She doesn't eat.
Mm-hmm.
Barely talks.
And, like, help your sisters out. Like, you see that Nesta's actually, like, attempting to do something. Pharaoh, once again, is willing to, like, freaking die for you. Literally. She's willing to do that. And you can't get out of bed.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And then also, you know, Farah and Nesta, for the love of God, stop coddling her. Like, for the love of the cauldron, for the love of the mother, whatever other entities the beings in this book believe in, stop coddling Elaine.
Yeah, they do baby her way more than is necessary or healthy. And especially, like, Farah. Like, Farah's the baby.
Yeah.
Like, why are you coddling your older sister? Like, she can get her shit together. I absolutely loved the revelation of the bone carver's identity to Farah. That the little boy that she sees is her and Reese's future son. Like, I started to, like, tear up. I was like, oh my God, like, I love that. Like, that's so cute. And then, like, when she tells Reese about her revelation and, like, he's like, oh my God, like, show me. And then it's just, like, such a pure moment.
It was really sweet.
And also, I kind of, like the bone carver for some reason. Like, I kind of fuck with him. Like,
I kind of like all the monsters.
Yeah, like, he's funny, like, to me. I don't know.
I did love Moore getting jealous and protective of Cassian with Nesta. Like, anytime Nesta and Cassian interacted, Moore was just inserted herself into it.
Not having it.
And, like, Moore and Cassian kind of have, like, these hateful, flirtatious bants with each other because of how close they are. It doesn't mean anything. It's just like, she's a safe person for him to flirt with, and Cassian's a safe person for her to flirt with.
Mm-hmm.
I did, however, get mad that she took Helion to bed and, like, continued to string Azriel along.
Yeah. That was kind of a low blow. But I will say with Moore, I did feel really bad about when they went to the Court of Nightmares. And she was kind of bombarded by not only her dad, she knew he was going to be there, but with Eris, who, like, she low-key hates with all the passion of the burning of the sun, like, hates him. But then also that Reese agreed to the bargain that his army would fight in the war for access to Valeris. And Moore just felt very betrayed, which I get, because Valeris is Moore's safe space. And her dad does things purposefully to hurt her. Because he sucks.
Yeah,
He has not redeemed himself at all.
And I had a love-hate with Martyr Reese within that. Because it sucks that he always puts himself on the line. And that everyone gives him crap for it. But when he tries to not do that, like when he did make the alliance with Eris, and like trying to get the bone carver on board, he pisses people off. I mean, if he didn't go behind their backs to set that up, they probably would have agreed with the plans. But it's like he was getting yelled at, stop being the martyr, let us take some of the responsibility off your plate. And then when he does, then there's like people got mad at him.
Well, I think the big asterisk is that he still does things secretive.
Yeah.
And then just shares his
after
plans. And then they're all kind of taken aback. So maybe if he like actually had discussions with them, like it would be one of those things where the confrontation, the argument wouldn't be great. But I think that Moore would eventually concede and be like, you know what? I will get over this. I understand. But he just didn't want to have to deal with it.
Yeah. And then she was blindsided, and that's what made her more pissed off.
Yeah.
Which, understandable and rightfully so.
The Ravens were another very brief, great villain, though. Like, them showing up at the library, and they were able to break through the wards, and they, like, chase Nesta and Feyre trying to get Nesta and Feyre. And I loved the monster at the bottom of the library, where he kind of was like, "You're the High Lady?" And she's like, "Yes, help me." And he's like, "For a bargain, I will." And then he ends up
It was
saving
such a
them.
sweet little bargain, too. I just want some company.
Yeah, he just wants company. And Reese is like mad for half a second because he's like, "You can't be making all these bargains with all these dangerous monsters." But she's like, "I didn't promise him it would be me. And I didn't promise him like he would get to kill anyone. Like, he literally just wants
I want someone to talk to.
someone to talk to." Poor Braxis.
Right? And then it's like, Cassian, why are you so scared? He just wants a friend.
But he is he's like terror personified, right?
That's what it seems like.
He shows you your worst fears or whatever.
Yeah. Kind of gives me like Boggart from Harry Potter, but but worse.
But like a death god.
Yeah. I did love Nesta and Amren's weird little friendship.
Yeah, they did form a bond when Nesta was being trained on potentially how to fix the wall.
Yeah.
And I love that Amren's like, "I like you because most people don't like you."
Like me.
She's like, "I have,
Just like, you know what? I fucks with you because other people don't.
Right, exactly. I love that.
I also loved Day Court Daddy Helion. He gives me Oberyn Martell, Pedro Pascal vibes from Game of Thrones. Like, just his demeanor and his swagger.
Yes. And I love the realization that Lucian is actually his son. I mean, Feyre and Rhys are the only ones to have this realization. Mm-hmm. But, like, once they do, Feyre's like, "How could I not have seen this?"
Well, that was her first time meeting him.
Right. But also, Lucian does look different than his brothers. Mm-hmm. He's a little bit, like, darker skinned. He still has, like, the red hair, but it seems like all of his family is, like, very pale.
Yeah.
And, like, pasty. And everyone's just like, okay. But it makes sense as to also why Baron
doesn't like him.
Had such an issue, and maybe why Eris secretly tried to help Lucian, because he knew that Lucian wasn't actually a threat to his throne.
Yeah. I mean, because Lucian would be the heir to the Day Court.
Yeah, he would have no actual say with the Autumn Court.
I loved Vivian and Moore's like giddy schoolgirl reunion.
Yeah.
And also Vivian's love story with the High Lord of the Winter Court. Like, their little story was really cute.
Yeah, how they were just like best friends. He had always kind of pined for her. She was oblivious. And then Amarantha happens, and she ends up
taking care of business.
She runs the court, the night or the winter court for him, and then realizes that she loves him, and then they're actually mates.
Yeah, it was really cute.
And when they're reunited, like that mating bond snaps into place, and they get married. It was really cute. I love a good love story like that.
Mm-hmm. I loved that Azriel attacked Eris when he called Moore a slut, like defended Moore's honor.
Oh, yeah.
Which then made it more heartbreaking when then Moore goes off with Helion.
Yeah. How did you feel about Azriel and Elaine's dynamic when she's kind of struggling?
I feel Az is probably the best one to talk to her, just because, he's very sad boy. He's the emo bat boy. Yep. And I just feel like he can then deal with emo Elaine better than anyone else.
Yeah. I thought it was kind of sweet. Yeah. And like, because, he's this scary people. A lot of people fear him. Mm-hmm. And he's actually like such a softie.
Yeah.
And I think that it shows a lot with Elaine.
And I think he can also understand Elaine's heartbreak more so than anyone else. Like, even though his heartbreak and hers are different, I think there's a lot of similar overlappings with their stories.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, like, I really, really hate Kier.
Yeah, Kier's a dick.
And he's like...
And so is Baron.
Both of them. They need... Their children need to slay them. Mm-hmm. Okay, like, they are...
I'm so ready for Eris to kill him.
Oh my God. And I'm ready for Moore to kill her dad.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Like, these guys are not bringing anything good to the table.
No, I mean, seriously, why keep Kier around? Like, kill him. Especially since Reese is back in town. Like, let's fucking kill Kier and put Moore as the figurehead.
Yeah. And honestly, I think that Moore is stronger than her dad.
Yeah.
And the fact that she still, like, gets so cut down from him after 500 years, I'm like, girl, I get the trauma, but, like, you're a bad bitch. Why are you letting this person really, dictate
And control so much of her emotions.
Yeah. I'm kind of like, get over it. Kill him. No one's going to be sad.
Yeah, it'll be fine. And I did hate how Tamlin threw his sexual relationship with Feyre in her face in front of the High Lords and twisted the narrative to his benefit.
When he's like talking to Reese and he goes, and when you fuck her, have you ever noticed the noise like she makes? I'm just like, oh, Tamlin, I hate you.
Yeah, like, why you gotta do that?
I hate him. He's just...
Especially in front of people. If, like, you and Reese want to go have a pissing contest over Feyre, like, privately, fine. Do whatever.
You know how uncomfy that probably made everyone else?
Yeah.
Like, people were like, oh my God.
Like, if y'all need to do your alpha male bullshit, like, go take that somewhere else.
Ridiculous. He just is, like, giving me hurt puppy, hurt pride, and, like, can't deal with his emotions or his anger.
Very hurt people.
Yeah, and I'm kind of like, buddy, you did it to yourself because you weren't treating Feyre how she should have been treated from the get.
But also very on brand, because think about how he didn't talk about his role with, like, Reese's family's death.
Right. Like, he very much victimizes himself when, like, he's the villain.
Yeah, it's like you're not accepting your role in any of this.
Yeah, you're not taking any accountability. You're pointing the finger at everyone else because things aren't going the way that you want them to. And it just gives me... I just don't like that.
No.
Like, woe is me. Honey, you brought on the woe.
Yeah. The common denominator here is you're the problem.
You are the problem. Hi, it's you. You're the problem. Okay.
All right, let's get into part 3.
Okay. The meat, the bulk, the craziness of this book is really just beginning.
Okay, stretch it out.
Let's get to it.
All right, let's go. All right. With the wall coming down, the courts return to their territories to fight. When the Night Court returns home, they start to make their own plans. Elaine suggests they move the humans near their home to her fiancé's fortified home, and she will make the request. Feyre takes Amren to strike another bargain with the monster in the library, Braxis, to assist in the war in exchange for a window. All it wants is a window. When the Night Court crew arrive at Elaine's fiancé's home, she's been glamored to appear to be human versus the high fae she's been turned into. Jurian has joined with Elaine's fiancé's family and informed them about Nesta and Elaine's transformation, as well as Hybern and the Queen's plans. Turns out, Jurian has been a double agent this whole time and is actually against Hybern, and he wants to beg forgiveness from Draken and Miriam. He informs the group that Tamlin has also gone back to Hybern and of where Hybern's first attack will be. Reese sees inside Jurian's mind to confirm that he's actually a good guy. The humans, after some convincing and blackmail from Jurian, agree to take any human refugees into their home, and Elaine's fiancé ruthlessly breaks off their engagement, which leaves her heartbroken and back to the crying shell of herself. Time for the first battle of the Hybern army versus the Illyrians and Darkbringers. As Hybern's army starts to get defeated, Cassian battles with a Hybern general, and Tarquin's army joins the fight, ensuring a victory for Prythian. Yay. 1 Prythian, Hybern 0.
Well, technically 2, because they won the summer battle as well at the summer court.
Yeah. 2 for Prythian.
2-0. Hybern, suck it.
That evening after the battle, Hybern's forces re-engage in battle. Feyre goes off to find the cereal to get its knowledge on Hybern's next move. Ianthe was waiting for Feyre to track the cereal so she could capture Feyre. Ianthe's guards attack the cereal and Feyre. To escape Ianthe, Feyre leads her and her men into the Weaver's cottage and offers them up as dinner to the Weaver. Feyre spends the cereal's dying moments with it and realizes the creature intentionally let itself be captured by her throughout her dealings with it, and its dying request to Feyre is to leave the world a better place than she found it. Helion finds Feyre and brings her back to the war camp. Cassian has been severely injured in battle. Mor is pissed that Feyre deceived and lied to her, which leads them getting into an argument. Nesta uses her connection with the cauldron to find its location, which is with Hybern, and the larger part of Hybern's army, which is headed for the human realm close to the Archeron home. Nesta gets lost in her mind connection to the cauldron, and Feyre must enter Nesta's mind to bring her back. Rhysand shares the information learned from Nesta to the rest of the Prythian Alliance. However, Nesta's tracking the cauldron has allowed the cauldron to track her as well. The cauldron winds up taking Elaine to Hybern as revenge for Nesta taking something from it. So it took what she cares about the most, Elaine. The plan to get Elaine back is for Feyre to transform into Ianthe, and her and Azriel will infiltrate Hybern's camp. When they make it to the camp, Feyre sees Hybern has a human being tortured but is still alive. She wants to save the human as well as her sister. Jurian finds Feyre as Ianthe and assists her and Azriel with freeing Elaine and the human. Feyre, as Elaine and the human, get attacked while trying to escape, and Tamlin shows up in his beast form to assist them. They return to the Prythian war camp. Upon Feyre's return, she and Mor make up, and Mor confesses to Feyre that she is bisexual, preferring women, and she only loves Azriel in a familial way. During the next War Council meeting, it is decided the Prythian forces are going to battle Hybern's massive army that will be attacking the human realm. Amren is delighted by this choice. She's figured out a way to stop Hybern's entire army, and she needs this battle as a distraction for her and the other Maid Fae, the Archeron sisters, to help her. Amren's plan is, thanks to the information that the serial gave Feyre, is to bind Hybern's army to him to use the cauldron to nullify him and the army in one swoop instead of just nullifying the cauldron. The Prythian fairies that can winnow take as many human families as possible in Hybern's path to safety in the Summer Court. Feyre decides that she will get the Ouroboros mirror to give to the Bone Carver so we can get him on Team Prythian. With her completing the mission, the Bone Carver deems Feyre worthy of helping. After a very emotional, touching, and inspiring speech from Rhysand, it's time for the final battle between Hybern and Prythian. Bryaxis, the Bone Carver, and the Weaver, thanks to a bargain with Rhys via Helion, join the fight for Prythian. As the battle wages on, Prythian gets extra reinforcements from the Spring and Autumn courts, plus a human army led by Jurian. This gives the opportunity for Amren and the Archeron girls to make their play. Hybern unleashes the powers of the cauldron on both armies, and the attack looks like it's going to blast directly at Cassian, but Nesta was able to see it and start screaming for Cassian, ultimately saving his life, though he does get quite hurt. Unfortunately, the strike does kill the Bone Carver. Just as things are starting to look bad for Prythian, naval armadas appear. One is Hybern's, the other belongs to Draken and Miriam, plus a human armada led by Feyre's father. This also brings Lucien back to Prythian as he has found and rescued the cursed queen, Vassa. Nesta and Cassian offer themselves up as potential sacrifices to distract Hybern, allowing Feyre and Amren time to complete the binding and dismantling spell. The Weaver assists them with distracting Hybern, and she gets killed. As Feyre gets to the cauldron, she realizes that Amren had a different plan all along. The cauldron takes Feyre to Hybern. Feyre is faced with Hybern, Nesta, her father, and Cassian. The Archeron's father makes amends to Nesta, and Hybern kills him. Cassian begins combat with Hybern. An enraged and grief-stricken Nesta unleashes her power, taking out soldiers, but not Hybern. So she picks up a badly injured Cassian's sword and begins to fight Hybern to get him closer to the cauldron. As Hybern is about to make his killing blow to Nesta and Cassian, who just made like a lover's declaration, Elaine stabs Hybern with Azriel's blade. Then Nesta takes the blade and delivers the killing blow to Hybern that she swore she would get. The cauldron winds up taking Feyre away, passing over all of the battles that continue to wage on, and returns her to Amren. The message the serial had for Amren was an unbinding spell, and she plans to release her true nature onto the battle and end it. Amren gets to say goodbye to Feyre and her lover Varian before Feyre says the spell that frees her and breaks the cauldron. Once the true form of Amren is set free, she destroys Hybern's army and navy, winning the war for Prythian, and she vanishes. Rhysand reunites with Feyre, and she shows him all that happened while he was battling in his beast form. The cauldron cannot remain broken, or it will destroy Prythian. Feyre and Rhys use Feyre's conduit abilities and their combined powers to remake the cauldron. Rhysand gives all his power to fix the cauldron and dies. Feyre pleads with the High Lords for them to give their light like they did with Feyre to save her, and holds on to the mating bond. The High Lords, including Tamlin, do so and bring Rhys back. And while he was in the in-between, he brings Amren back with him. Amren is now truly High Fae and not whatever creature she was before. Prythian and Love win the war. After the Archeron sisters bury their father, Lucien gets to speak with Elaine. Feyre and Rhysand speak with Draken and Miriam and get them to agree to take the cauldron with them to their hidden island. Feyre calls a meeting with the fairies, humans, and the human queen Vassa to renegotiate the treaty. Nothing gets fully settled, but there seems to be hope for a path forward. Jurian gives Feyre hope there can be peace between the humans and Fae. The Night Court returns to Valeris, their home, to celebrate their victory and their family. Rhysand and Feyre make a new bargain that when one of them goes into the afterlife, they both go. Then they fly over Valeris. The end.
Woohoo! I really like how this book wrapped up. I was very happy with all the shit that was presented, I guess, in this final part of ACOWAR. Gotta say, love that Jurian turns out to be a double agent.
Yeah.
I was really hoping that that's what was going to happen and that he was using Hybern for his own. Because it just doesn't make sense that Jurian, who 500 years ago fought the war with humans, would side now with the person
Hybern,
who is trying to control the humans.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm just glad that he hadn't gone, like, completely mad when he was in Amarantha's ring and that he still had his, like, values where they were.
I love that he wound up being a good guy. I did hate that nobody bothered to take the time to, like, check what side he truly stood on, though. Kind of like he said. He's like, why didn't y'all go into my mind?
Right, yeah. But ultimately it worked out.
Yeah.
And he saves Feyre and the Night Court and really Prythian, like, multiple times throughout this book. So I'm Team Jurian. I ended up really liking him as a character.
I like the journey we went through with him.
Yes.
And how he also made amends with Miriam and Draken.
Yeah.
I loved Varian and Amren's little romance.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I like that Amren kind of had someone.
Yeah.
And that he wasn't, like, scared of her. It was cute. I freaking loved Feyre leading Ianthe and the men to the Weaver's cabin. And that's how Ianthe dies because, ooh, I would not wish that on anyone but Ianthe. And, yeah, that was great.
It was. I kind of wish we got a little bit more with it because it was just...
Well, I do also love that when the Weaver shows up to the war, she's wearing Ianthe's, like, gem thing.
Oh, yeah.
I was like,
that was great.
That's great.
That was great. It's just, how sucky Ianthe was. I really just wanted to revel in her demise.
I think that
it was over too soon.
I don't know. I mean, maybe in the book, reading it was over too soon, but I'm sure that her death was not painless.
I wanted to experience the pain she went through. I just wanted that vindication.
Yeah.
I did love that Feyre's father joined the fight and named his ships after his daughters and that he sailed in on the Nesta.
Yes. I think that he redeemed himself, maybe.
A little bit. You know what's funny? We never know his name.
Yeah, they never tell us his name. It's just father.
Yeah. But we never know his name.
Nope. But yeah, that was a big surprise. I was not expecting that. So when I read that, I was like, oh, shit. Like, love that. Yeah, that was awesome. I hated that the Suriel died.
Oh, that was so heartbreaking.
I loved him and
Feyre's
relationship, like whatever you call it. Oh, it just broke my heart. And
it was very Dobby-like.
Yes. And the worst part is obviously he knew that if he met with Feyre, he knew Ianthe was tracking him. He knew that he was going to die, but he was willing to die in order to help her.
Same with the bone carver.
Yeah. I hated that both of them, and the Weaver. Like, I hated that all of them died.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad that it was them versus maybe, like, someone within the inner circle dying in this war, because if no one had died...
But why did it have to be all the monsters?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, all the monsters had to die. Why couldn't Elaine die?
Oh my gosh. You just need to get off of that. She's not going anywhere, boo-boo.
And then we get the nameless father's death.
Right in front of Nesta. Yep. Yeah, I was kind of sad about all those deaths, to be honest. A little bit.
And it's like, I get they all could have died. Like, they, as far as to the main core of the story, like, everyone that died, it didn't change a whole lot.
But also, how can death gods die?
By the cauldron.
Oh, but the Weaver didn't die by the cauldron. She got her neck snapped and then fed to...
Yeah, but Hybern was, like, being powered up by the cauldron.
Oh, okay.
So I feel like almost like with Thanos and his little snappy snap. Like,
okay.
Probably. That's kind of how I'm thinking.
Okay.
You know, he probably absorbed some of that. I don't know. That's the only way I can...
No, that makes sense. That makes sense.
I did hate when Cassian got slightly injured in the first battle, and Nesta was, like, concerned and, like, tending to his wounds. And then, like, when Moore came in, Cassian, like, instantly rejected Nesta for Moore. And, like, Moore was trying to, like, meddle and, like, keep Nesta away from Cassian. And I didn't like that. I didn't like it.
Can't really blame Moore because Nesta is... Nesta.
But, like, she was actually being nice.
Yeah, but I think Moore holds a grudge. And I think that she still, like, she hadn't forgiven Nesta.
Yeah. But it's like, here she is actually, like, being nice and caring about someone, and then you just, like, shame her for it. So then she's not going to be nice again.
Right. Sticking with Moore, I do love that she confesses that she's bisexual. And that's the main hang up with as to why it's just like it's never gonna happen, but she hasn't told anyone.
Yeah. I did hate, though, the argument that they got into, that her and Feyre got into, because, like, Feyre was definitely in the wrong, and she used something that didn't concern her, Moore and Azriel's situationship, and threw it back into Moore's face for the fact that, like, Feyre used Moore and lied to her.
Yeah. Yeah, that wasn't a great... I didn't like that either.
It's just like, no, honey. We're talking about you and your problems right now.
Yeah. I mean, it just shows her age.
Yeah.
Very Tamlin thing to do. Unfortunately. Hate to say it.
I did love something he did, though.
What?
I did love that. I did love his shifting loyalties and how you never knew, like, where he was going to stand until he did finally make the right call siding with Prithian.
Yeah, because he shows up to the meeting, and then right after that meeting, he goes to Hybern, and you're like,
what are you doing?
He's on Hybern's side? For real? And then he saves her at the camp when they're rescuing Elaine.
Yeah, and then how he did give his light to Rhys and tells Feyre, I just want you to be happy.
Yeah. And she says that she hopes that he can find happiness too.
Yeah. I did hate, though, that he wouldn't speak with Lucien, like, right after.
Yeah, he's being a little bitch.
Yeah.
A little bitch boy.
It's like, ooh, you just made strides in the right direction, and then you had to...
Yep. I did really also like the stuff that happened with the Ouroboros mirror. And when Feyre goes and looks into it and you realize that the mirror shows you who you truly are. And she sees like this huge dragon-like thing, but she overcomes the mirror and like can accept
herself for who she truly is, the good, bad, and everything in between.
And that's the reason why people go mad, because they can't accept what the mirror is showing them of themselves. But Feyre's able to like withstand it, and she comes out on the other side and she's able to master it. I liked that.
Yeah. It was funny that like the bone carver used it as a ploy to determine if she was worthy, though. Kind of just like with Rhys in the ring. Like, oh.
Yeah, because he didn't actually want the mirror.
No.
He's like, what the fuck am I going to do with this? And she's like, are you serious? He's like, just got to make sure you're worth the trouble.
like Rhys in the ring. You got to make sure you're worth the trouble. Go get your engagement ring.
Also love Draken and Miriam showing up. And that, you know, earlier in the book, the inner circle goes to their island and it's bare and it looks like it's in ruins, to learn that it was all just, they took what Rhys did with Valeris and hid, and Draken's like, worked too well if it kept friends out.
Sorry about that.
He's like, yeah, we were there the whole time. And Rhys is just like, you're shitting me.
Couldn't leave a note.
Like, you couldn't tell me that you guys were magically hiding it?
I had to think y'all were dead too.
Yeah, right?
That was funny.
But I did also, like, didn't see them showing up. So when they did, love that additional force.
Yeah.
It was so great. How did you feel about how Hybern goes down? With Elaine making the blow, but then Nesta finishing him off.
Loved it.
Okay.
Loved it. Because, you know, Nesta with her finger point.
She marked him.
Mm-hmm.
You're mine. Your death is in my hands. I'm coming for you, buddy.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, yay, Elaine. Sticking up for Nesta.
Yeah, and like finally Elaine did something.
But then immediately went back to like emo girl. Like,
well, yeah. She had her moment. She had her burst of energy.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that it was like Az's sword or knife. And that Nesta was ultimately, though, the one that killed the king. I don't know. I like that it was them together.
Me too. See, I did say something nice about Elaine.
Good. And how did you feel about Rhys being Rhys and giving all of his power to fix the cauldron and then dying on us?
I mean, it's very Rhys-like.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God. Like, first Feyre, now Rhys is dying, and she, you know, does the same thing where she's like holding on to that tether of the mating bond and does the same thing, begs all the High Lords to do their thing.
I like how she realized with holding on to the mating bond that the thing she was fighting and like clinging on to when she was in that position was him.
Yeah.
She was like, oh, this is what it felt like.
Yep.
Oh, I can now sympathize with you, Rhys, because now I'm
on the other end of it. I understand what's going on. Yeah. I teared up when Rhys died, even though I knew it wasn't going to be permanent. Like, I knew it was just for, like, the dramatic effect of this book. But, like, I still was like when she's, like, screaming, like, I could just picture that.
Listening to it, because for this, I did listen to the graphic audiobook. The actors do a phenomenal job, and just like Feyre's pain in the audio of it is just like,
I could only imagine.
Oh my goodness, it was so intense.
I could only imagine.
What do you think of their new bargain with each other about how, like, if you go, I go?
I kind of love it. I think it's so cute. Because, like, neither one of them wants to be in a world that the other one. Like, I think that it's very Rhys and Feyre.
It is, but it's like they know about their potential kid now, though.
Right.
So it's like, what if something happens?
I mean, Rhys has been without his parents for 500 years. He's been okay.
Has he?
He's been living.
Not well.
He's been alive. He hasn't died.
He just did.
Well, and then brought back to life. Technically, he's not.
I'm conflicted on that.
Like, I think it's romantic when you don't think about any of the factors outside of their relationship. And that's how I'm going to continue to look at it.
Okay.
Because in my mind, they ain't dying. They're going to live forever.
I just have a feeling that's also welcoming bad shit.
Well, they definitely make each other more vulnerable because now it's not only you have to worry about yourself, you got to worry about your mate not dying because then you're going to die. But you know what? It's romantic. That's what this book is. Something that I hated. Hard hate.
Oh, lay it on me.
Hard hate. When people say that this series is steamy, I'm like, bitch, where? Where? I mean, like, don't get me wrong. Rhys and Feyre's dirty banter is phenomenal.
I'd say it's tension
like that
filled.
tension. But like, and Sarah does such a great job at writing these characters. You can feel their sexual chemistry. Like, Rhys is hot. Feyre's hot. Like, they're hot together. Like, they have this like burning passion. And then all of the like sexier scenes are fade to black, where they just kind of like implied that, oh, they hooked up, or like they've been going at it all night. And then it's just like the next morning. And I'm like, but I want these like smutty scenes. And maybe because this book is more YA, it is
New adult.
Yeah, but I'm just like, but you're already like 80% there because it's not like there's no smut.
Yeah.
So it's like, why couldn't you at least give us like at least one? Because I think there was one smutty full scene in this whole 700-page book, but the opportunity was so plentiful.
Yeah.
And as somebody who loves smut,
You want more of
and
it.
as someone who loves and is obsessed with Reese specifically,
You want to see what that bat boy do.
yeah, I wanted a little bit more sex.
Fair. Now, I will say the graphic audio does make it spicier than
Reading it.
reading it.
But most people are going to be reading these.
True. So if you do, I would say if you like audiobooks and you do want a different, more spicy take, listen to the graphic audio. Because then, like, you know, you get the music, you get the sound effects, you get to, like, it's more immersive. So
Right.
it does feel steamier.
Yeah, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
Reading it
not
on
It's not a steamy book, in my opinion.
It's a tension book.
It's a tension book. And I love tension, but I also love the payout of said tension. Don't just get me all hot and bothered and then leave me here, you know?
Cock
And she does
tease.
it really well.
You were teased. You were titillated.
I was,
And then you were withheld.
yeah, I was not diddled. I still hate that word so much.
I'm just so happy you used it.
Yeah, that was out of,
Spite.
yeah, sarcasm. But yeah, that really was my only like strong hate of the book as a whole. Because also, the last thing I'll say about it is I've talked to people who have read this series and they've told me that it gets spicier. I reiterate, bitch, where? Where? It did not. So Sarah, my request, write a novella that's all just smut of these characters. That is a novella that I would give 5 stars. Just saying, if you're ever bored, you lacking on some ideas,
Bonus content.
bonus content it up, baby. I'm here for it. But yeah, anything else?
No.
Okay.
I think that wraps up our loves and hates
Yeah.
and the plot.
And the plot. So let's move on to more fun, artistic things that we do here on Emotions and Potions, which is our casting. I'm very excited about this because this is the first time that we're casting only men,
Yep.
but also, not to toot my own horn, love my castings.
So do I.
I think mine are better, but okay.
Okay. I have no idea who you picked.
I have no idea who you picked.
All right. Let's start with Jurian.
Okay. For my double agent, Bay, I went Bill Skarsgård.
Okay.
I went Bill. I love me the Skarsgårds.
I mean, they are lovely.
Yeah, he gives me Jurian. Who's yours?
I went James Caviezel. He's from the show Person of Interest. He's a
Okay.
little bit older. I don't know why he gave me like older vibes.
Well, you know what? I was having, for all of these castings, I found people right away where I was like, they are definitely giving me these characters, but they were all older. And I'm just like thinking about my past picks. I was like, realistically, if you were to take all of our 3 episodes and take all of our casting, like I would want it to be a cohesive, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
And so like, I'm with you. Like I found a lot of like older actors who I was like, oh, like he would be perfect. But I was like, I gotta stay younger.
Jurian gives me a little older.
I feel that. I feel like Jurian, you could get away with a little bit of an older casting.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at it. Not mad at it. What about your Tarquin? He's the Summer Court Lord. Who did you cast?
And I love him.
I know you do.
I casted Aldous Hodge. He's from the show Leverage. And yeah.
Ooh, okay. I like that. He's fine.
And he's also really funny.
Okay.
And I don't know, Tarkin kind of, he had some humor to him.
I gotcha. Yeah, he did. So for my Tarquin, I went Jordan Calloway, who you probably recognize him the most from the Nickelodeon show Unfabulous back in the day with Emma Roberts, but he's also on Fire Country.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Add some, like, colored contacts. Oof. Hello, honey. Who did you cast for your heiress?
James Cartwright from Downton Abbey.
Ooh, okay. Downton Abbey. Okay. Okay. I like that. I went with a model. His name is Mark Goldfinger. He just gives me, like, Autumn Court. He
Yeah.
gives me heiress. type of vibe. Very similar.
Yeah, both.
They do give me very similar vibes. All right, what about your Helion? He is the Dawn Court? Day Court?
Day Court.
Day Court.
Idris Elba.
Okay, that's a good one. I went Trevor Jackson. Trevor Jackson. He's from Grownish.
Okay.
He was just giving me something too.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Thanks. Can you see why I was like obsessed with my casting? I'm just like, who are these men? Where have they been in my life? All right. And last but not least, the baddie of the bad.
Last and least.
Yeah. King of Highburn. Who did you cast?
Crispin Glover. You may remember him from Charlie's Angels, the one with like the weird hair smelling.
Oh, okay. Let me see. Ooh, okay. So you did go older for him.
Yeah.
Okay. I kind of stayed still young. For some, like, I don't know. I still stayed a little bit young.
I wanted a variety in ages with the men.
I feel that. So I'm probably going to butcher his name. But Ian Ryan, he's Ramsay from Game of Thrones. And
I mean, he's psycho enough in that show.
He just, like, I just wanted to cast someone who I knew could play a villain and play it fucking good. And we know Ramsay Snow. He was the best villain on Game of Thrones, hands down. And I think he would do King of Highburn. Like, they could age him up a little bit.
Yeah.
Make him, not as youthful. But I was like, that energy.
Fair.
All right. Well, those were our casting. If you want to see some visuals, head over to our Instagram, Emotions and Potions Pod, or our TikTok, Emotions and Potions Pod. And while you're there, hit the follow button, share us,
like our things,
all of that. Moving right along onto our soundtrack, our playlist for ACOWAR. So I have 9 songs, 9 categories. Oh, dang. Okay. I will go first.
Throw a couple out at me.
Okay. My first one is the overall war theme song. I mean, this book is about war. Game of Survival by Ruel. Just very enough said. That's it. And then the overall book theme for like the inner circle and the allies, I chose Paramore's Born for This.
Yes.
You want me to do one more? Want me to get down to 6?
Yeah.
Or okay. And then, so this category was Reese and the Inner Circle projected theme song of what people or what other Fae still view them as, kind of.
Okay.
And that's Bad Reputation by Joan Jett and the Heartbreakers. Because poor Reese, he's trying to prove that he's not this bad dude.
Right.
But he's got
a bad reputation.
He's done it too well, but he don't give a damn about his bad reputation. He's still gonna win this war.
So, I have a theme song for Feyre.
Okay.
For this whole book, Rage and Romance from Bressie.
Nice.
Because I feel like she kept teetering between those two things, rage and romance.
That she did. I did have a song targeted towards Feyre, and that's Feyre's song when she's infiltrating the Spring Court. And that's Wolf in Sheep's Clothing by Set It Off and William Beckett.
Nice. I have a song for the Night Court trying to rally the troops, Instigators from Grace Potter.
Oh, that's good. I like that. I like that theme too. My next theme is Tamlin's continued downfall after Feyre, and just like all of it without me by Halsey.
Yeah.
Sorry, boo-boo.
And I got a song for Tamlin trying to discredit Feyre and Rhysand, and that's Lies by Science and H. Kenneth.
Nice. I like that. Okay. I have a song that's playing as Rhys dies, and that's Time of Dying by 3 Days Grace. I don't know. I like that one.
Yeah, me too. Just sticking with the sad melancholiness. I got a song for the Monster's Sacrifice for the Cause.
Okay.
Nocturnal Creatures, Bastille.
Nice. I like that. I love the monsters. Rip. My next theme is Nesta's song to the King of Highburn, and that's Last Laugh by Fletcher.
Absolutely.
She is going to get the last laugh, honey. And she does.
And I got, for this book, and especially like that second declaration bond with like Feyre and Rhys, Exist for Love, Aurora.
Nice. I like that. And my last theme song is kind of on the similar path as that, which is Mating Bond Song. And I actually have two because I couldn't choose. But they're Infinity by Nikki Heaton and Twin Flame by MGK. They just give me like mating bond, larger than life love songs type of thing.
And my last pick is the song for like when Feyre's being declared High Lady to everyone.
Ooh, okay.
Especially like at that War Council meeting.
Yeah.
Royalty by Kat Mizos.
Nice. I like that. Oh, I love that. Well, I thought that playlist is pretty dang good between the two of us.
Yeah. And there's even more on there.
Yep.
So go check it out on Spotify, Emotions and Potions Pod.
And feel free to like it when you're there and listen to it as you are reading ACOWAR if you ever want to get in the mindset of this book.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's pretty good. Not to, if I do say so myself. Okay, moving on to our ratings.
Yes.
What did you give this spice-wise?
A 3.25.
Okay. I gave it a 3 because it's not nothing,
Yeah.
but it's not something.
The extra oomph is because of the graphic audio.
Fair enough. So I think that those are fair ratings then.
Yeah.
The reading versus the audio.
Mm-hmm.
What about overall? What did you think of this book overall?
Overall, I give it an 8 out of 10.
I went 8.5. It was hard for me to put it down.
Yeah.
I was very enraptured with it. And I did think that there was a lot of great OMG moments throughout, especially in that last part.
Yeah.
That I loved.
It's a really good book. There's just things there's too much I wish was different
Fair enough.
for it to be.
Higher than an 8.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I mean, 8.5. Those are very,
But it's still great. And it's something I would reread again. And honestly, I think because of the 8 thing, you want to reread it.
Yeah.
In a way. Because it's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know how sometimes when you get a perfect book, it's like, oh no. Like, we're just...
That's going on the shelf and it's living in all its glory.
Yeah, where it's like one of those, I wish I could reread you for the first time. Nothing will ever top my initial reading experience. I feel like this series kind of gets better for me as I reread it.
Okay.
Because I pick up on different things.
Right. And that's something that I have heard about, like Sarah with her writing is with the rereads, you do realize how much she's actually giving away. But when you're reading it for the first time, you don't know what to be looking for, or you don't know what subtle hints are like pointing you in the obvious direction of the outcome.
Yeah.
So like I could see that this book being a really good reread because you're picking up on things that you didn't the first time, which I think is what makes a book a good reread.
Mm-hmm. And then especially think if like her other series wind up getting connected, then it's like, oh, then I would want to reread it to figure out were there hints of that?
Yeah, definitely. But overall, love letter.
Yeah.
I mean, so far, love on the whole series. Another, like, book 2, I would say that this is a pretty hard love compared to book 1, which was a soft love.
Yeah, no, this is just straight up.
A straight up love. I think...
Like, I'm invested in these characters.
Yes. I'm invested in the story. I'm invested in, like, the political aspect of this world. The only thing that would have made this series better, in my opinion, is if it was more adult.
Yeah.
Versus YA young adult with the smut. But that's just, like, a personal thing. Mm-hmm. And I'm also not, like, mad at what it is.
I think the level that it's at does make it...
accessible for people of more readers.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't...
Because if you put more smut in there, it's gonna...
alienate the younger audience.
Yeah, or even, adults who just don't want or need that in there.
Yeah.
We want and need it.
Yeah. That's why I'm excited for Nesta's. I'm really hoping that Nesta and Cassian amp up on that smutty, because that's also 800 pages. I better be getting at least 3 smutty scenes in that book.
I feel like
Minimum.
that would be fair. I have not read that. I feel like 3 would be fair.
I'm hoping, because I've been told that this one is the smuttiest of the series so far.
Let's set low expectations, though.
I know. I think I've been going into them with too much hype on that element. But I can't help it. I want it. But anyway.
It's been another episode of Emotions and Potions.
Make sure that you go and follow us on all of our socials, Emotions and Potions Pod. We are nearing the end of this series as of right now. So that will mean we are open to suggestions on what we should be reading next. Slide into the DMs and let us know if you have any suggestions that you want to hear us discuss.
Please and thank you.
Please and thank you. But until next time, this is Emotions and Potions, a love/hate letter to. I'm Ashton.
I'm Alex.
Bye.
Bye.